Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we got some good old liberal hive mind. Give them a little like you like. Dems move to remove John Fetterman from the party. Wow, honestly, that's pretty sad. That's so sad because honestly, I remember, I remember I remember hearing about that, and I was like, damn, PA really went blue. It really went blue and elected a blue. What is John Fetterman? Honestly, I forget. Let's see here. I spelled that right? Yeah. Senator. Yeah, they elected a blue senator, a Democrat senator. And I was like, damn. I wonder how that's gonna affect PA. Then he's like he starts talking about everything, and he starts saying that yeah, he started to take more of a Republican stance on certain things, you know, and he's saying to take a more conservative mindset towards everything. And I was like, huh, interesting. They voted for a Democrat, but he turned out to be a Republican in sheep's clothing. Not to mention, he also won after, you know, the whole thing with like his brain and the fact that he had, I think he had a stroke or an aneurysm, one of those two. And people were like wondering if he was gonna be able to be fit for office and whatnot. And it was like, oh, he had a complete switch up of views. So now it's like, oh, now that he's like becoming like a pseudo conservative Republican, y'all want to kick him out? Why? What's wrong? But yeah, let's get into it.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, there it is. It's not exactly shocking, but I guess it's now official. The Democrat Party.
Meme of the day for my next trick. I will get Democrats to defend John Bolton, and it's fucking Trump. You probably could. All he would probably have to do would be go to the podium and be like, John Bolton bad. John Bolton is a very bad guy, and Democrats would immediately be like, no, John Bolton's the greatest guy out there. The best man, greatest guy we've ever known.
Is officially turning on John Fetterman. At least that's what Axios is reporting. They just released a piece reporting that top Democrats are now plotting for his ousting, his removal. And of course, their main issue is they don't know how to, quote, handle his growing independence and refusal to bend the knee to party leadership. In other words, he's a genuine representative, and I don't mean a House representative, I just mean a representative of his constituents, his state, his country, his people.
Yeah, he's essentially doing what his job is. It's to represent the people, and the other, you know, the other politicians in power are like salty that instead of listening to what they're saying and doing what they're all doing, you know, being part of the cool kids club, he's instead doing what he was elected to do, which is, you know, make the lives of his people better, make the lives of the citizens or not the citizens, but the residents of you know, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania better. And he's been delivering on that primarily, and that's what his main focus point has been, is the people.
And so again, we get some more insight into how the Democrat Party works. The minute someone in their own ranks starts thinking for themselves, starts breaking with the dogma, the entire machine turns against them like a pack of frickin' wolves. Again, this is how the Democrat cult operates. The woke cult that's totally taken over the party. It's blind obedience or total exile. John Fetterman's now on the Democrat chopping block. And of course, you can imagine there's a lot of interesting things that we could talk about here. So let's go ahead and do that. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so first off, I want to focus on the concept of appreciation. You know, just think about it. John Fetterman, this is the guy who delivered a critical Senate victory for the Democrat Party in Pennsylvania. That was a seat that they had to win in 2022, and John Fetterman put everything on the line. He campaigned through health struggles, took took the heat, fought off a worthy competitor in Dr. Oz. He basically kept Chuck Schumer's Senate majority alive, and did it after undergoing a debilitating stroke. And now how does the Democrat Party repay him? By trying to shove him out the door the moment he stops parroting their pathetic talking points. And well, you could pretty much see exactly why this is happening. John Fetterman has broken ranks with the Democrats.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what they did to Bernie, is it not? During 2016, or rather leading up to the 2016 election. Bernie was ahead, then they crucified him because they wanted to push Hillary for Hillary to win, because they thought that Hillary was gonna win, and they never thought that Trump would actually, pull through and stop Hillary from becoming president. But it's like, we've seen the Democrats do this before. They'll eat their own. They don't care who they have to put up on the chopping block. They'll put them up there, And honestly, it's no shock to anyone whatsoever that they're doing this. Or at least it's no shock to me that, all of a sudden, now that John Fetterman's actually, popular, but the reason he's popular isn't because he's pushing, the liberal hive mind agenda. He's instead pushing, what the people want, which tends to be right now, a sort of more conservative ideology. That's exactly what he's doing, and they just can't handle that.
In the worst possible way, by
they can't handle a free thinker in their hive mind.
Putting country over party. Yeah, kind of funny how that works, right? You got someone like Jay Jones who fantasizes killing his political opponent, and that's totally A-OK, oh, they'll stick by him to the end. And you've got John Fetterman, who's been simply voicing some of his disagreements with the current direction of the Democrat Party, and now they want to destroy him. Take a look at some of the things that he's been saying recently.
I'm the only Democrat.
Yeah, well, I mean, you want the prime examples of people they've done this to, recently. And not even and by recently, I mean the two most recent people that I can think of are Elon Musk and Trump. When they were pushing electric vehicles, and instead of gas cars, electric cars, Tesla was at the height of it. Every Democrat, when Elon was part of the Democratic Party, every Democrat loved Tesla. Everyone was enamored with Tesla. Nancy Pelosi literally buying Tesla stock and whatnot, and giving Elon a whole bunch of money so we could use Tesla to push California in a greener direction and all that shit, But then Elon switches from the Democrats to the Republican Party, and they crucified Elon. Elon bad. Oh, Tesla's no longer qualify for that, tax deduction for buying switching to an electric vehicle in California. Oh, if you want to buy a electric vehicle, oh, but it's a Tesla, you don't get that grant thing that helps you with like $7,500 and whatnot on your first down payment. No. Teslas don't qualify. You have to buy some other electric vehicle. It's like they did that to that. Oh, you had you have Hillary back in the day, way back in the day, when we had box television saying that Trump would make an amazing president when Trump was part of the Democratic Party, that Trump would make an amazing president, that it would be great if Trump ran for president. Everyone thought that Trump would make an amazing president. Trump announces he's running for president, but for the Republican Party. And what happens? They crucify Trump. Trump bad. Trump derangement syndrome is born in that moment. It's like this is their MO. They'll go after anyone and everyone, even if it's their own, over any minor thing.
To my family. I grew up in a conservative part of Pennsylvania. I know and I love people that voted for President Trump, but they are not fascists. They're not Nazis. They're not trying to destroy the Constitution, those things. And that's part of another thing. I refuse to call people Nazis or fascists, or I would never compare anybody to Hitler and those things. And now that kinds of extreme rhetoric is going to continue. We're going to be more likely in resulting in extreme kind of outcomes and political violence and doing all these kinds of things like Charlie Kirk. For me, all I could say is like, let people grieve. Give people the space. I'm not going to use that terrible thing and that passive assassination to.
You know what's wild? I feel like he's the only Democrat so far that has said any of this. I feel like he's the only one who has like verbally now denounced like political violence and all that stuff. I don't think any other Democrat has said anything about this like he has right now, about how it's bad and how we shouldn't celebrate it and how we should be letting people grieve how they need to grieve and whatnot. It's wild hearing that from the opposite side. But then again, I remember this is John Fetterman, and I'm like, yeah, John Fetterman does seem like the kind of guy who would say this stuff, even though he's in the Democratic Party. He'd be that Democrat, you know.
Make my argument and try to put out my views. We really got to turn the temperature down, and we can agree to disagree on these kinds of things. But right now, shutting down the government, I just can't take it that. Shutting the government is really what the Democratic Party wants to do. And I follow country, then party. And it's the wrong thing for the country in a period of chaos. I refuse to vote to shut our government down. I absolutely would love to have, I would love to have.
Yeah, you know what's even more wild? I saw that there was this thing because passing through Congress that essentially said, oh, even if the government is shut down, at least our military, our service members, the people who are enlisted in our military to defend our country, at least they still get paid. At least the people that put their lives on the line to defend our Constitution, at least they'll still get paid for the government if the government has to go into government shutdown. That shit immediately got shut down by Congress. I was like, bro, why? That's so fucked up. That's so fucked up, especially more so because it's the military. Like poor service members, man. They gotta be like in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere in the desert and shit, uncomfortable as fuck, and now they're not even getting paid to be there. That's so ass.
A conversation about extending the tax credits for healthcare. Absolutely. But I would remind everybody, too, this was designed by the Democratic Party to expire at the end of the year. This is not something taken from by the Republicans. They were designed to expire. Now, let's have a conversation to extend it and not shut our government down. If you're thinking about winning the election, that's all going to come down to 7 or 8 states. That matters. And I would like to remind everybody, because we all know Trump ran the table. All of those kinds.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter as much as people make it seem like it does. Like everyone's like, oh, every vote counts, every vote matters. It's like realistically, no. My vote, no matter what, or better yet, if you live in like Texas and you vote blue, your vote genuinely doesn't matter, because Texas is locked red and will always vote red and will always be permanently red. Same thing with California. If you live in California and you vote red, your vote doesn't matter at all to either way, because California is permanently locked blue. So it'll never be red, so your vote genuinely just doesn't matter. And so realistically, the only places where your votes actually matter, as much as people say where like every vote counts, are in these swing states. Those are realistically the states you want. Because whatever side you're on, you'll have your states that you're guaranteed to get and states that your opponent is guaranteed to get, no matter what. Republicans will always get Texas and Florida, and Democrats will always get California, New York, Oregon, Washington, typically the entire West Coast. But not every, party will get the swing states, because like we said, last year, a lot of when Biden won, a lot of states were blue, but now that Trump won, a lot of the states that were blue when Biden won turned red. So it's all up to those states, where those are the ones where every vote does actually count.
Of states. And now you can't ever forget, these are the states that are going to determine who's going to be the next administration. A lot of the things, the extremism that people turned their back in 24, and that's how we kind of came up short. I campaigned for thousands and thousands of miles across Pennsylvania for Vice President Harris, and it was going to be incredibly difficult. You could just feel the energy there, and people really have connected there at a very fundamental level. And that's what I tried to explain to my party, and I'm trying to explain to the party right now. It's like, this is why we lost, and this is where we need to be to continue to win for these things. And there are parts of extreme things emerging clearly on those things, and that's why I refuse to follow that, even if that is going to cost me support in parts of the base.
How do Democrats win back white men like yourself?
I don't know, and truthfully, I'm not sure if that's possible, to be honest. I think that's been seriously eroding for a while. In some cases, in the conversations I've had, a lot of people, they don't even want to say it publicly, but they just feel like, the other side seems like it's like men's the problem, men are to blame, or their masculinity is toxic, or unless you're able to conform to our very strict kinds of definition of what we think's appropriate, well then, hey, I'm going to find an alternative, and they've done that. That's absolutely true. And once we've kind of turned their back on that demographic, it's going to be difficult to rebuild and replace that with those voters, because I think that migration has been ongoing phenomenon for several years, and that was been in front and center, in part of the election in 24.
All he's been doing is calling out far-left hypocrisy. He's backed border security. He doesn't agree with the shutdown. He doesn't agree with calling all Trump supporters Nazis and racists. And apparently those are positions that the modern Democrat Party absolutely cannot tolerate. And why is that, you may ask? Well, very simply, because John Fetterman's independence exposes the rot in the Democrat Party. Basically, he's saying a lot of things that we've been saying, and that cannot be allowed. And once again, the hypocrisy is on full display. The party of diversity, yet again, has zero tolerance for diversity of thought. The moment you step out of line...
Well, I mean, like I said, just look at back in 2016, or the election leading up to 2016, you had Bernie, who was criticizing the Democratic Party, said he was going to be the change in the Democratic Party. He immediately got crucified by the Democrats, and Hillary was instead the one that was pushed. And what happens now? Oh, Bernie now pushes everything everyone else pushes. He pushes the communism. He pushes the fake socialism, while being a capitalist and reaping the rewards of capitalism, and how everything should be free for everyone, and how we should have open borders and live in kumbaya and peace and war bad, peace good, good old free Palestine, while at the same time, Israel has a right to defend itself. It's all just the same bullshit. Genuinely,
you become a traitor, and now the party.
So you can't be shocked when they'll then go after John Fetterman,
that rallied behind him when he was an important character, when they needed him to secure a Senate majority. Well, they're ready to throw him in the damn dumpster. The moment you voice an opinion that in many ways is actually important, self-critical, looking at what your party's doing wrong and trying to move in the right direction, the moment you offer good advice in the Democrat Party, you're labeled as a...
Yeah, self-reflection's bad to these people. Why would we self-reflect when we can, just be what we've always been? Absolute pieces of shit.
Traitor. toe the line or we will destroy you. That's the message. That's what they did to Bernie Sanders. That's how they got him to fall in line. And once again, that's how the party
Look, even he said it with Bernie Sanders.
runs, right? It's top down. It's authoritarian. Democrat leadership is terrified of authentic voices. Grassroots energy is smothered. Independent thought gets punished. And real, genuine representation for country and for the constituents that you represent, of course, that must be replaced with party scripts written by the consultants, the donors. Push the rhetoric, and that's it. We've seen this happen time and time again. The Democrat Party is a cult. Ask Tulsi Gabbard, ask RFK Jr., ask Kirsten Sinema, ask Joe Manchin, and now, of course, John Fetterman. Be a marionette for the puppet handlers, or you are done. And honestly, not only do I think it's disgusting and it's the wrong way to run a political movement, but I think more importantly, it's bad strategy. I mean, the reality is John Fetterman is a beast. And considering my political leanings, I think that's quite the compliment, but the reality is, this guy's been incredibly authentic. He's extremely popular in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the dude's a fucking walking tank, if we're being honest. Like, my guy, he literally had a stroke, and he still walked it off and ran and won and is doing, like, his best. And his best is really good. It's what the people want. And they're just, the Democrats are genuinely just salty. And I don't mean like the Democrats of Pennsylvania. I mean the establishment Democrats, like the other Democratic Party officials.
He's loved by Democrats, by independent
political officials.
And even Republicans have respect for this man. He shows up, he talks straight, he's not afraid to say what's actually on his mind. And so the idea that the Democrats would now go to war against this man, it just seems stupid, honestly. I think John Fetterman could probably outperform a Democrat on the ticket running as an independent. And what happens if he decides to flip sides? What if he does go independent? What if he does announce that now he's joining the Republican Party? That'd be a nuclear bomb for the Democrats. Imagine the optics. Imagine the working class guy in the hoodie who's a straight shooter and tells it like it is. The man sitting in one of the most high-profile Senate seats in one of the most important states in the country. That guy walking out on the Democrat Party because he's sick of the lies and elitism. That would be devastating.
Yeah, imagine if he, like you said, imagine if he switched red and instead of running for Congress, I believe, senator, instead of running for the Senate again, as a Democrat, he runs instead as a Republican and he wins Pennsylvania because people already like him. They know that the only difference is whatever is the political party he's on, but that he would still be the same, person.
Pennsylvania is a battleground state, and Democrats need it badly, and they're losing it slowly but surely. A Fetterman exit, even symbolically, I think would send a message across the board, across the Rust Belt, that the Democrat Party no longer represents regular people. What they're up to right now, I mean, it's frankly disgusting. I think it's disloyal, and it proves everything that we have said all along. The Democrat Party doesn't serve the people, they serve themselves. And Fetterman is doing something really rare here in politics. He's telling the truth. He's speaking like a human being. And so it begs the question, if Democrats are going to continuously destroy anybody in their party with a shred of authenticity, how can they ever build a future? How can you build a future if all you do is destroy the most authentic people in your party?
It's quite simple. In their minds, they control the future. They're not building it, they're controlling it. It's not about building towards a better future, it's about controlling the future altogether and ensuring you have an iron grasp on it while claiming that the opposition is authoritarian. That's what it's all about with these individuals. It's not about actually progressing the human race.
And anybody who builds grassroots energy. I mean, how are you supposed to find the next Obama? Now, of course, I'm not saying that Obama was great, but I'm saying the next Obama in the sense of the next charismatic leader who's going to actually lead your party to electoral success if all the rising stars in your party get crushed the moment they go off script. And kind of ironic coming from the party that keeps talking about saving democracy. Ooh, democracy this. We're fighting authoritarianism. Says the people who can't even tolerate free thought in their own ranks. They demand total submission. No charisma, no originality. Just a bunch of plastic, empty frickin' suits. Mannequins. I'm not saying...
Yeah, I mean, let's just look at the Kamala campaign during the election. How much of it was how much of everything she said was just the repeat, wash down, monotone comments she made at every interview and at every rally? It was always essentially the same thing. Some comment about Trump being bad, some comment about her family, and some comment about how she was raised. And it was always followed by excessive amounts of like laughing and grinning in between each story. And that's all it was, if you think about it. Like, genuinely. Maybe she talked about something different when she was asked a real question, but that was only when her brain didn't short circuit, based on the complexity of the question being asked.
John Fetterman is presidential material. I don't think that's his place. I think he's more suited for the job of a senator. But we've seen it time and time again. Anytime somebody wants to break the mold a little bit, introduce actual reform, change to the Democrat Party, new ideas, the entire apparatus, like a bunch of white blood cells, start attacking that person as if they're a virus. And it seems all in preservation of the status quo, all in preservation of what is currently not working for them, all to preserve the establishment so they could keep running the same unpopular candidates over and over again. Here we go again. Gavin Newsom. Ooh, Pete Buttigieg. Ooh, Kamala Harris. Talent cannot rise in this party. Talent is stifled, drowned, deprived of oxygen. We see it over and over and over again, and I just don't know how this ends well for the Democrat Party. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the
It just ends with
video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
It ends with a party just disappearing entirely. That's inevitably how it's gonna end. Like, the Democratic Party is gonna lose so many supporters and so many people that some third party, some third party is actually gonna be able to come in out of nowhere and overtake the Democrats and become, that what competes with the Republicans. Now, it may take some time. It may take like maybe 2 to 3 elections, depending on how it goes. If the trajectory remains the same and the pendulum, it keeps swinging at the pace that it's swinging towards a more conservative, future, as it does, then we might see the next. I'd say the next 2 to 3 elections would probably be Republican wins. Maybe, depending on how, our current elected officials do their job efficiently and effectively. But eventually, like, back to the point that I was saying, eventually the Democrats will inevitably just become an abolished party, and some third party will be able to come in and, take their place and whatnot. Because there are still people who, they don't necessarily want to vote Republican. It's just like, okay, well, where else do we go realistically? If we really want our voices to be heard, where else do we go other than Republican? Because you can't go to a third party. Third parties aren't that big or that popular. So yeah, it's all about those people in the middle and those people who are on the edge of being, who are barely just a Democrat. When you start losing those people that, tiny but, the few but the mighty, then you start losing a whole lot more individuals, and your party is inevitably just going to self-destruct. But yeah, enough ranting. But yeah. Oh, wait, before we go, I actually wanted to do something funny. If you made it this far into the video, congrats. You get to see the live tasting of the Bao Berry fucking gamer subs. I know that Bao is having like a shit ton of stuff done with gamer subs right now. Or like, I don't know what. But that was supposed to arrive long ago, but I accidentally ordered all this stuff with a pre-sale cup. So yeah, it all got delayed till the pre-sale cup was released, and that was annoying. But yeah, let's see here. It turns that shit purple. Interesting. Very interesting, because when I touched it with my finger and I tasted it like that, it turned my finger red. So it's interesting that it makes this shit look like fucking. Funny enough, it looks like purple Kool-Aid. Yeah, it literally looks like purple Kool-Aid. Yeah, let's see here. Honestly, not bad. Not bad at all. I don't know if it's me, but it doesn't have that much of a strong taste. It's really good. Bit sour, but I will say this: it is definitely better than the what you call it, than the Blowhole Blast by Shy Lily. I will say that Bowberry definitely better than Blowhole Blast. So yeah. And this is caffeine free because I wanted to try a caffeine free one. And the powder, funny enough, for caffeine free, is like a softer texture than the one with actual caffeine. Funny enough, it's a little interesting, but yeah. Anywho, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and all that YouTube jazz, and I'll catch y'all in the next one later.